You try and then you fail, but you don't stop there. You don't stop at the failure. That's not love. Love then tries again. And yeah, you're going to fail again someday, but you know what? You don't stop there. You try again. And that's one of the beautiful messages that comes out of Will Grayson, Will Grayson. And I think it's just a beautiful and very true description of love. I want to start off by saying I'm sorry for, in my Perks of Being a Wallflower review, I was butchering the author's last name. I don't know why I was calling him Chabosky or so. I forget what I was calling him, Chobsky or something. It was something awful. But it's clearly Chabosky, right? Chabosky. So anyways, my apologies to the author of The Perks of Being a Wallflower. So I had the pleasure of going on a 9-hour drive recently. That's one way. And I got the audiobook of Will Grayson, Will Grayson, because I heard it was a lot of fun. Because there are two characters, two completely different characters, both named Will Grayson. And so I thought, well, I heard the audiobook has two different readers for each of those different characters. And so it seemed like it'd be fun. John Green himself actually has talked about the audio version of Will Grayson, Will Grayson. And he recommended it. So I thought, you know, I'm going to give it a shot. And so this is my review of the Will Grayson audiobook by Brilliance Audio. It didn't take long into the story for me to start asking myself, this is YA? This is YA? I asked myself that many times throughout the book. There's a lot of, you know, coarse, kind of vulgar talk. You know, talking about oral sex in pretty blunt ways. To me, it'd be much more appropriate if it was on the, you know, regular literature section, you know, next to the Kite Runner and and the Poisonwood Bible, than it would be next to Twilight and the Hunger Games. It just didn't read like a YA novel in that sense. Some of the topics were a bit too gritty for my taste. Of course, maybe I'm just being Pollyanna. I don't know. Did you think that this book should be YA? Did you find yourself questioning its YA marketing? I'm just curious about that. Leave your questions or thoughts in the comments. The next thing I found interesting about the book was the percentage of characters that were gay in the story. Now, I hope this isn't going to be too controversial to say, but you know, I'll just say it. It seemed like in this story, Will Grayson, that every other character is gay. And you know, I know there are gay people in the world. I totally understand that, but from reading Will Grayson, you get the idea that the homosexual population, you know, is something like 25-30% of the national population, you know, and it's just not. Very reliable statistics from the government. They say that, you know, at most there's 2 to 4% of the population claim to be, you know, homosexual, and so I just found that kind of odd. I felt like almost as if they're being a bit pedantic, or means they're trying to like teach us something. They're, you know, hey, everyone's gay. And I just was like, you know, but that's not really the case. So that was a bit odd. I found that a bit preachy to my eyes. So I'm curious, what did you guys think about that? Concerning the overall plot and story, I really enjoyed it. It kept me interested throughout the entire thing. I felt the beginning was a little bit sluggish, and I felt almost forced, like maybe they were kind of trying too hard in certain parts. But by and large, the story really comes to fruition at the end. It's fun. The story made me laugh. It didn't make me cry. One of my main critiques of Paper Towns is it just was unbelievable in certain parts. You know, that a girl, I forget her name now, from Paper Towns, hanging out in these, you know, run-down buildings, spending the night and such, so kind of separated from society. To me, I was just like, that's just not really believable. I couldn't believe that would really happen. Will Grayson does not fall prey to that. It's a very believable story. It's very realistic in that sense. There's also some really great just kind of descriptions of friendship. You learn a lot about friendship and relationships, and just, it's very insightful. Will Grayson has a best friend named Tiny, who is this, very large, he's humongous actually, very flamboyant, very outgoing, very loud-spoken gay guy. And Will Grayson is not gay. It's the other Will Grayson that's gay. If you're confused already, try reading the book. But Will Grayson's friendship with his best friend Tiny is a really beautiful aspect of the story. As well as Will Grayson falls in love with Jane. And Jane is a very lovable character. I loved Jane myself. And there are parts where Will Grayson is awkwardly and even defiantly at times not falling for her, not letting himself fall for her, because he holds to these two rules. Don't say nothing and don't care, I think, are the two rules. Don't say anything and don't care. It actually just kind of stay out. It's like a wall he puts up. But he eventually realizes that he loves Jane and he wants to get rid of those walls. But of course, as you can imagine, it's too late, right? Jane has already found her ex-boyfriend's come back in her life, and so she's taken. And it's just a great struggle that they go through, and I found that part really beautiful. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on the plot and the story and the friendships and the relationships, the romance. Let me know what you guys thought about that. One of my favorite themes that comes out of this story, and it's really stuck with me, and I think it'll stick with me for a long time, is 3 words. Try, error, try. And here's the context it's told in. The other Will Grayson, who is also a very interesting character, is very complex. He at first is, he falls in love with this guy online, and he goes to meet that guy only to find out it was a female friend from school posing as a guy. And so he feels humiliated, but he ends up falling in love with Tiny, as you guys know. And he gets the advice that how love works, what love really is trying, error, failing, trying again, failing again, trying again. In other words, it's the reason I said it's those 3 words is because you try and then you fail. But you don't stop there. You don't stop at the failure. That's not love. Love then tries again. And yeah, you're going to fail again someday, but you know what? You don't stop there. You try again. And that's one of the beautiful messages that comes out of Will Grayson. And I think it's just a beautiful and very true description of love. You try, and then yeah, you fail because we're humans. We all make mistakes. But then you always try again. Because if you don't keep trying, that's not love. Love doesn't give up on the failure. So I thought that was a really, really great section. And if for nothing else, if for not all the other fun parts, it's worth reading just for that message right there. Tell me what you guys thought about that. What was your favorite theme or favorite message from the story? Here's what they brought to the story above and beyond just the reading of the story. It was great having the 2 separate voices for the 2 separate Will Graysons. That made it much easier to follow. But more importantly, they sang the songs. And this is the part John Green talks about when he talks about the audiobook version, is that he didn't create the music for those songs, right? They did. They went and took the time and they came up with these choruses and melodies and whatnot, and they sang the songs. To hear these guys like belting it out, like ooh, and singing all high and loud and like doing the whole thing as if they were on stage in front of an audience. It was really, really cool, and that made it a very fun audiobook to do. So I do recommend this audiobook. Whether you read it or whether you do the audiobook, I think it's definitely worth it. I gave this 4 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the review. I would love to get your thoughts, your comments, your questions. your ideas. If you've read Will Grayson, what'd you think about it? And let's have a conversation down below. Thanks, you guys.